In a world divided by power, where every gift becomes a weapon, a showman of shadows and deception, fueled by courage, heart, and sheer will. Two voices, two sides of the fight, one unforgettable universe. The voices behind the power and the passion. Welcome to the stage, Kent Williams and Matthew David Rudd.
Hey, we did it.
You made it. How were the restrooms? Good?
They were good. Yeah.
And we're on. Yep.
And
Yes.
we're on. And we're live. Hey, good to see you. Thank you all for sticking around. And
Howdy.
we promise this is going to be a fun panel for sure. All right, gentlemen. First question. How are you?
I'm good.
Good enough.
Yeah.
One for one. Question number two. No,
You're really nailing this
I-
interview.
I-
You're doing great.
I'll tell you what. Well, you know, they didn't trust me to do the Randy Quaid interview. So, I mean,
Oh.
this is probably arguably bigger pressure, you know, to have to deal with.
Here, ask me. I'll be Randy. You ask me what my favorite line that I ever did was.
Randy, what's your favorite line?
It's the one where I'm flying that jet up into the spacecraft in Independence Day, and I say, "Remember me," and then I crash into it. So, something like that.
I was hoping it'd be shitters full.
No, it wasn't that one.
So in case you missed the extended interview,
Yeah,
Right,
that
right.
you
was.
now have
That was
a highlight reel.
You did the first 15 minutes here, and then the last 30 minutes was all in a dimension that none of us could actually see. So that wound up being a thing. It's really cute, though.
I
His
think
wife got the-
I think we're losing them.
We might be,
As
yeah.
I look out at the audience, I think most of the audience, probably 99%, was born after Independence Day.
a good chance of that. They're also like, I thought this was about My Hero Academia. So, and it is. We've got, you know, two greats.
Are we
here
doing good,
with,
Ken?
with
You
Kent?
did amazing. I'm so good at
So,
fitting.
well, let's talk about your starts into My Hero Academia. How did it come about? What was the audition process like? Let's jump right into it.
For me, it was that was the show that I really wanted to get in on, and then when I finally got Colleen asked me to come in, it was for Mr. Compress, so it just wasn't a random audition, and it was what they were calling a paid audition, but it was basically she cast me. And she was just going to make sure she wanted to cast me. And then we just recorded that first bit of Mr. Compress. He's so much fun, so theatrical. So he's the closest to me. Hello.
Oh, man. So yeah, when you got Shishido, what was that?
Yeah, so this is one of my favorite things to think back on in my career. I'd been working at Crunchyroll for a while. I already done like Jujutsu Kaisen and Tower of God and stuff like that. And I had just moved. We were just talking about this. I moved from LA back to Texas for a few years during and after COVID. And so I was kind of feeling out the new studio and everything. And I remember I was told this email had to go around the directors where they had this character for My Hero that just screamed. He didn't not yell ever. And so they didn't know if they had an actor that wasn't already in My Hero that could handle that kind of job. So there was this email chain that went around to all the directors, and everyone was like, oh yeah, Matt can do it. And so Colleen brought me in because all the other directors had suggested me. And so I thought that was really cool. And then in the session, they had booked me for 2 days, like 2 days worth of 2 or 3 hour sessions because they're like, this is vocally stressful. You're going to need to take breaks. And we knocked it out in like 20 minutes.
Oh wow.
So like when we were done with it, Colleen was like, hey, listen, I play Luffy. I know how to yell and you got some pipes on you. I'm proud of you. And so I was like, it's one of my favorite things to recount about my career.
How difficult is that?
Lincoln Beard.
I gotta.
How difficult is that? Like just keeping your voice. Like, do you learn tips and tricks over time just to keep from blowing out your vocal cords?
If any of you know any of my characters, that's kind of what I do. I play big monsters. I play bad guys. I play people that yell a lot. And really, it comes from kind of a musical kind of idea where, like, if you're up on stage and you're singing, you're not just using your vocal cords. You're like, you see singers like plant their feet in the ground and it comes from the ground, it comes up through your diaphragm and all that yelling. If you can squeeze into your diaphragm, it's a lot easier on your vocal cords rather than trying to create that crunch up here in your voice.
Makes sense.
That wasn't class. That's actually most people pay for that.
Yeah. Tuesday nights, Real Voice LA, Matthew David Rudd teaching. Sign up now.
Kent, what about you? How do you keep from just completely, throwing out your voice, or just
I
like,
don't.
You don't?
Actually, I sent myself home last week recording a little Dr. Vegapunk from One Piece. You talk about hitting those vocal highs, especially when you're in a show with Colleen Clinkenbeard and you're hearing that in your ear, you're like, I cannot complain about anything. It's like I got to hit it. But when you're just voice just fine, hit a wall.
Right.
It's time to go home. Don't injure.
Yeah, I got sent home. I was working on Dragon Ball Daima. Damon was directing the video game, and we had a 4-hour session. And about 3.5 hours into it, he's like, "You're done, bud. Time to go home."
I can't believe you made it that far.
Yeah.
Now, the guys are looking out for you, and it's not one of those things where it's like, sorry, I need to go home. They can usually tell that in the booth then.
That was the first time that had ever happened to me, where a director stepped in, and I think probably with the younger generation of actors now becoming directors, they've kind of gone through the gauntlet and are a little bit more maybe health conscious than like the Wild West of old Funimation days.
Well said.
Right? And so yeah, Damon Mills, who plays Frieza in Dragon Ball and plays Whis in Dragon Ball, lots of awesome characters. But he was directing, and he kept he was doing the same thing that I was so proud of. He's like, "Oh man, you're a tank. You can do this." You just like yelling him out over and over, and I was like so proud of myself. And there was one line where I was like, it just didn't come out. And he was like, "Okay, we're done, bud. We'll pick it up next time."
Yeah. Well, thank goodness for that. It's a lot easier now to,
There are things, there are products, there are methods. It's like, but you just going to space it out. Like, don't be dying in different shows on the same day.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Ideally, that helps. Plus, different motivations. Speaking of different motivations, let's talk different characters. You're good guys, you're villains. Between the two of you, what are your favorites to voice? You love heroes more, you love villains. Which do you get to have the most fun with, or which is most, I guess, enjoyable in your case?
You already know the answer.
I know I already know the
villains.
answer, but
it's
humor all
the
the
bad
folks that are
guys
out
are always the ones because you get to do the things that you don't get to do.
Yeah.
You get to say the things that you don't really get to say, or perhaps shouldn't. My mother taught me well. So I think.
What is your spread like between good guys, bad guys?
Oh my gosh,
like
I have the good dads like Byakuya from Dr. Stone, and then I've got Father from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. So it's just like full evil, full, from good. It's the spectrum, I think, and I love playing that more than, it's not really so much favorites. It's like just getting that much freedom to work with.
Yeah, I've spent most of my career in the villain, like squarely in the villains.
Yeah?
I didn't start until I was in my 30s, and so I already had the kind of...
You mean in anime?
I didn't start acting at all until I was in my 30s.
It's achievable. It's achievable.
Backstory, I went to art school because I like drawing Dragon Ball Z. That took me to art school, and now I'm in Dragon Ball Z, like cool full circle stuff. But like, I was already this kind of gruff, mature kind of sound. So I very quickly got pegged as villain for everything. And so now Panda in Jujutsu Kaisen is a good guy. I play a couple of dad characters that are good guys, but mostly villains. So I'm kind of yearning for I can be good too.
You need some balance.
Yeah.
I can be good too.
Little good, little evil. When we were talking to Pam Doherty here about a couple hours ago, a lot of her background was very traditional, acting, stage, theater, that kind of thing. And same thing with Derek. Is that, do you think that's an important building block when it comes to doing voice acting?
It's so funny. After I just hear your story, I'm about to say, you need to be an actor first.
Yeah.
You really want to be an actor first. So much of, at least what we're doing with anime, it's improvisation. We're seeing those words for the first time. We don't get to luxuriate over the scripts at home with coffee. No. It's like you walk into the studio, and it is in front of your eyes. You hear the Japanese beep, 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 go.
Beep, beep, beep,
It's
go.
a stand and beep, 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 go.
Kent's got that tattooed across his back. Beep, 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 go.
Wow.
Go gun he.
And I think it's kind of a big, I don't want to say misconception, but, a lot of people think the traditional voiceover thing, it's like, all right, cool, you've got a script, you're going to come in, knock out those lines. It's not that way.
Oh, no.
No, on stage, in other fields, you get those rehearsal time, you get the rapport, you get to play off of other actors for anime recording. From my experience, I'm a distinction of first to record. Apparently easy to book. So I don't get to hear all the other actors because we're not in the studio at the same time. Everything, it's all individual work, and you're only doing your work. And you might get to hear the work laid down by the other actors, laid down, being recorded and played back. And that's so much more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing. I know with the pandemic, a lot of it just became solo work, like very isolated, that kind of thing. If it were up to you, and obviously when you're doing an anime and you're dubbing over from Japanese to English, it's you're doing a lot of lip matching and that kind of stuff. But just as far as personal preference is concerned, would you rather work with more of a group? Internally in the studio.
Yeah, and we did try that once for a show called, I think it was called Spirit Killer. It was a live action Thai horror zombie movie. It was just a guy in a tracksuit. But we had to table read at the beginning, and it felt very actory and very satisfying. We never did it again because it absolutely did not work.
And you can imagine, like, for an audio medium, it's just a nightmare to try.
It dragged the process out.
Yeah, and and it's funny because I grew up. I'm sure you grew up in the same way, like watching videos of old cartoons being made, and they'd be in the same room, they'd be joking and riffing off of each other, and I think that was already kind of on the downswing. But yeah, COVID, when they found out everyone could record separately, and it was just I think it was a much cleaner, simpler process for the engineers and everything. I work on other things outside of anime, video games and animations and stuff like that. I have never been in a situation where it's a group record. I don't know that exists really anymore.
Gotcha. So do you guys do a lot of like stuff, like do you guys record at home still? Or do you just primarily just do all that,
I went to the trouble of making a studio during, it was actually during COVID, and had it approved, had it all, checked off. I was going to be able to use it at home. And then I decided to sell my house and then not build another one. And it hasn't mattered because I much prefer going into studio. I would rather you be responsible for this audio recording. We did the COVID where we were in our house basically being the director and the sound engineer and being tech. Awful. Nightmare.
So Matthew, you have a home studio. What's in your studio? Like what kind of equipment are you using? Not to say, oh hey, here are all the secrets, but maybe folks here want to experiment a little bit with some voice acting at home. What kind of things do they need in a home studio?
And to be fair, I'm an open book. I teach classes on voiceover all the time, and I didn't get that when I got into. Like I said, I started late, started in my 30s, really tried to hit the ground running, and I got a lot of closed doors, a lot of, especially from actors, of no, we're not sharing our secrets, come back later.
Interesting.
Now to be fair, this was LA, this wasn't Texas.
Right.
So anime, 90% of your anime is recorded in Texas, in Dallas, and Houston. And so in case you didn't know that, but Kent lives in Dallas, right?
I do.
I lived in Dallas for a little while when I was doing a lot of anime stuff, but when I first started, I was in LA, and I talked to a bunch of big, you see them, you're around, you talk to a bunch of people, and I got a lot of closed doors. So anyway, that's not the answer to your question, but for that reason, I want to share everything. I don't want anyone else to feel the way that I felt. I teach classes every Tuesday night.
For free?
No. No, I'm just kidding.
Sharing only goes so far.
So in my studio, I have carpeted the whole room. I have bass traps in the corners. Bass traps are very important for anyone who's doing this because that traps the echoes. That doesn't allow the echoes to bounce off the walls. And honestly, since COVID, the technology has progressed quite a bit because people needed to be able to do stuff at home. I have what is called a Zoom UAC 232 audio interface. Best thing I've ever used. There's a couple of different cool things, but I have a Shure KSM 32 microphone, a couple of screens, couple of monitors, make sure my internet's plugged in, and that's kind of all you need.
You got all the toys.
I got all the toys.
Does.
But so we were talking about this earlier. You came from a traditional acting background. I came from a filmmaking background, so I was super into the editing, the production, all that kind of stuff. And I think that's why I was able to shortcut a little bit.
That's so interesting. Well, I mean, it's still the industry.
Yeah, I was able to watch, observe, make notes on other actors, learn from producing and that kind of thing.
That's training.
And then when I jumped into it, I felt
That's
like
education.
I had the training.
It really it is.
Well, from the behind the scenes to, I guess, more so the voiceover part of it, but also still holding on to a little bit of the behind the scenes moment. Do you guys have a favorite, or I should say a memorable moment working behind the scenes where maybe something didn't go as expected or something that was just so memorable it has stuck with you? Kent, I feel like you're going to be the first to respond.
Ken has a whole notebook.
I'm like,
Pull out your notebook. Yeah.
Where do I
unfurl
begin?
the scroll. Well, I mean, you know, like memorable moments. Okay, so when we started, it was just Dragon Ball Z, and then we went Dragon Ball. So we went back in time, and then we went forward. And then we were like, is there anything else? What happens? Do we just go home after we're done? And then there came.
Has
You Watch the
Toriyama made
Show.
anything new lately?
And then Fruits Basket. And Fruits Basket, I play Hattori Soma, the Year of the Dragon. But my son followed me to studio at 12, and he got cast as the young Kyo in that show. So then anime just took a whole new level of importance for me as a parent. And he stuck around and was in some other shows, but like he's totally in the medical field now. 34, did not make the reboot,
Lame.
did not match that voice, but still, it's like that is super proud moment for me.
Gosh,
Has nothing to
yeah.
do with my work.
But still, yeah, like
Yeah.
the family dynamic and all that, I can absolutely appreciate that. Matthew, what about you?
Yeah, well, so again, I started out in LA, but when I moved to Dallas, going to the Funimation turning into Crunchyroll studios for the first time was super awesome because in LA, small studios exist everywhere. There's, you know, one over here, and you go in one at a time. There's one engineer. In the Crunchyroll studios, there's 12 booths, 12 shows happening simultaneously. You know, they're all being used all the time. 24.
Oh, wow.
That's what I
More than
said.
that.
They all have two.
Yeah, okay. So, but the point is, like we see each other. That's how I met Kent, right? We see each other in the offices. We get to pal around. We get to have lunch together. We get to talk to the engineers and everything. So there were all sorts of, like, I don't have anything specific, but there were all sorts of times where I got to sit in and watch another voice actor work. Or I got to be on the way out when Chris Sabat was coming in and watch everyone just, like, eyes light up,
Yeah.
you know, that kind of thing.
Him.
Oh, him.
Oh, Chris. And then you talk to people that know him, and they're like, he's weird.
Well, Chris is the one who he was the director, and Justin Cook was the audio engineer at my original audition.
Oh, wow.
So like, you know, they were right there at the beginning. Have never left.
Yeah. I
They
grew up.
never mowed a lawn for money, I don't think. He just went right to work.
I mean, Chris has obviously been in everything, but Vegeta was always my favorite when I was a kid, you know, and like, it's been really cool in the last few years. I've gotten to have a bunch of fights with Chris on, you know, in Solo Leveling and in other shows where.
So then to be clear, so you grew up watching, so you were a fan, you were aware of the material that you then became a part of?
I mean,
that's so cool.
The
didn't have
most
that.
fun part of my origin story is that I went to art school because as a 5-year-old, I started drawing Dragon Ball Z characters and then wanted to do that with my career. And now one of the most recent shows I've been in was the newest Dragon Ball.
That's so cool.
You know, like, yeah, I was having a conversation with my mom about that the other day, and I was like, Mom, do you realize how, like, cool this circle is? She's like, yeah, I get it.
That's good. That's good that she does get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the important thing in all of that. Okay, so let's circle back to My Hero Academia.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that
Oh,
thing we're
yeah,
doing.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
apparently it's. I know we're
Talking to actors.
Yeah, exactly. We're going
just
to
gonna
go
go.
off on tangents. It's totally fine. If you had to, I guess, change anything about your characters, what would it be and why? Or do you think, honestly, the way your characters are set up, they're like, no, don't change a thing. They're
I just, you know, I like the hours, the recording hours. It's just like more. I feel like I go in and like, hey, Kent, today's the day. I'm dying again. Yes. I don't get to come in next week. Oh man. But then that just means that there's more work to be done.
Yeah. There's always a villain. There's always a bad guy. So when I got cast as this character, I already told you, like, that was a cool story, and then I started looking into it, and this was a holdover character from the mangas, from the manga creator's earlier work called Crazy Zoo. He was a character that was in that, and so I was like, holy crap, this guy's important then. Like, he's bringing him over from another thing into this, and then he wasn't. He's not in a whole lot of My Hero, but I guess the one thing that I would change is I wish there was a little bit more of that Crazy Zoo, because it was a little bit, you could tell they just plopped a character they like into My Hero in Crazy Zoo. There's a whole backstory. He was a cool character, all this sort of stuff. And we just, because he's not the main character of the show, we just didn't get to explore it. So I guess short answer is I would love to explore more of the history of this character.
So kind of like My Hero Academia needs a Daima. It needs just like,
Yes.
another little show to come out of nowhere.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, if Star
I'm
Wars
into
can
it.
do it, why can't My Hero? There's so many different ways of doing it. Okay, let's talk fan reaction, because
Fan
first off,
reaction.
we got a lot of My Hero fans in here. We know that. What's been the weirdest fan interaction that you have
Fan
had?
interaction. I heard family.
Oh, sorry.
Whoa.
Yeah.
All right.
Tell us about your weirdest family
fan
reaction.
Like, obviously, you guys do the Comic-Con circuit, and like, I mean, there are so many, people like fans that just come up and want to, meet you, talk shop, depend. I hope that's the case, Kent. If not,
Yeah.
we're doing this wrong. But
He's
what's
been facing the wall all day.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's doing.
That would be why. So
Nobody wants to talk to me.
yeah, so
Still.
I guess what's been your most memorable fan interaction? It could be sweet, it could be funny. Pam was talking about when she was here a couple hours ago about a young girl and her mom with a kid, and just like, oh, mommy, look, it's and recognizing the character.
That's where
and
my
all
mind
that.
went
That's what-
immediately. Was like,
Yeah.
it's the kids.
It
know?
is,
The
yeah.
kids can melt you
Yeah, for sure.
right away.
Well, we're both dads, apparently. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think
kids are special.
I know that people will cry sometimes, but like having grown men at my table expressing though, like
You told me
how
you wouldn't tell
much
that
something-
story about me.
I know how much something that they were watching at a particular time in their life meant to them, and like, oh my God, that hits me too.
Sure.
So like that's all that's memorable. But I'm like, it's hard to pick anything out. There's nothing any like weird or mean or negative, or anything odd to sign.
It's fun because there are moments where if you say the right thing, you're going to light up their day, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Has anybody watched Tower of God in here? Do we know? A couple people? So my character is a big fan of candy in that show, and he's I love candy bars. I want 10 more. That kind of thing. And so that's a thing that really gets people happy, is if someone brings me like a Kit Kat bar, I'll be like, I demand 10 more, and they'll really enjoy that.
What's your favorite candy bar?
Maybe Three Musketeers.
3? Okay.
yeah,
Any
Three
Three Musketeer
Musketeer
fans in here? All right, good. Yep.
I prefer those little square taffies, now or laters. Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Clear
that up.
That one gentleman agrees.
No, this guy right here.
I have heard of that.
I got an
yes.
arm. And yeah.
or for Jujutsu Kaisen, like again, it's a lot of times it's the kids. Panda's like the only kind of cute character in that show, and I play Panda, and so the kids will be very excited. They'll be like, "Oh, that's my favorite character," and so a lot of times they don't know quite the way it works, and so a parent will come up and they'll be like, do you know that's the voice of Panda? And then I'll just be like, I'm merely Panda, no understand human speak. And then like their eyes will go wide and their mouth will open up, and that's really cool.
You get believed.
I get believed.
Okay, on the spot. I taught in Dallas ISD for 30 years. So and that's when I was starting recording, but nobody believed that. They're like, "That's cool, Mr. Kent. Now do Goku." No,
You're always like,
I got paid.
that's my classic
It's a job.
Goku impression.
You're supposed to be impressed. I know. No.
But you refuse. He's got a better Goku impression than I do.
Now, see, I know Sean Schimmel before Goku.
Oh.
Sean and I were marionettists in Dallas, Texas, and I still am. So,
Oh, wow.
I pull strings. That's how I got my charge into theater and, creative arts and industry. It was through the marionette shows that were at Six Flags Over Texas when I was a kid in Dallas. And so that's where Sean and I were doing. We were performing marionettes together.
Well, and you also said you were a teacher.
I was a teacher. I taught Japanese kabuki theater. I taught puppetry in all forms, marionette mostly. I taught stunt fighting for the stage. I taught playwright. I taught a lot of stuff. Yeah. Drama for hire.
I was a teacher for 10 years before I started.
Right? I mean, it sounds like you understand the business of monetizing your creativity.
Sure.
That's what you got to do, at least in Texas. If you're going to survive in the arts of any kind in Texas, is to monetize your creativity.
Yep. Exactly.
Isn't that how Etsy became Etsy?
Etsy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Etsy's started by Sean Schimmel, right?
Yeah.
That's exactly.
Folk art and stuff.
Well, I want to make sure to leave some time here to take questions from the audience. I know a bunch of you probably have questions, and that's one of the fun parts of doing these panels. So my friend Lauren's going to be walking around here. Hi, Lauren. Stick your hand up. There you go. Hi, Lauren. And she's going to bring the mic around. So when you get the microphone, I ask that you stand up, say your name, where you're from, and then ask your question. Make sure to speak into the microphone. Don't do one of these or one of these. That helps us out. Hi, buddy.
Hi.
What's your name?
Hi.
Eli.
And where are you from?
Here.
Here. All right.
Here.
It was in the rundown of things. What is your question, my friend?
So, who's your favorite character besides yourself?
Who is your favorite character besides yourself, or the ones that you portray?
Eli, you mean
in
like
My
a character
Hero?
we did not play?
Yeah, basically a character you did not
Like,
play.
yeah.
In My Hero specifically? Oh.
My Hero.
Okay. I like Bakugo. I like.
Confirm that is the right answer.
Oh, nice.
His friend. Oh, wow.
Is it going well for you?
He's in detention all the time.
It's
He's in
weird.
jail.
Yeah.
Do we need to get an application for employment together?
No, I like Bakugo, and I know Clifford Chapman, who's his voice actor, and I have often thought about him as a character because, like I said, I play a lot of bad guys, but Bakugo's that right archetype of you want to root for him. He's a rival, and he's kind of nasty, but he's a good guy, right? And I often think about that performance when I'm thinking about like Baro in Blue Lock. I play a character, and I always say he's the Bakugo of Blue Lock. So anyway, like him.
Yeah.
Overhaul for the arm.
That's a bad answer.
That is a good one. All right, we'll go right up here in the VIP section. Hello, sir.
I have a question.
Yes.
You have played the villain, Mr. Compress, who has the ability to turn every single of his opponents into marbles. If he were to go up against either All Might, Deku, Ochiko Uraka, which is Urabity, or Bakugo, or Todoroki, or Endeavor, which would he choose? And who will overwhelmingly defeat him?
Who would you choose to fight, and how would you lose?
This is 80% of your final grade.
Of those that you named, right? It sounded like some of those were my comrades. Is that the point?
Yeah, maybe.
I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I would want to fight Toga.
Ooh.
Okay.
You know, he seems so enamored of Toga. Maybe it's not so true.
Interesting. Okay.
The
Toga's
biggest
a good-
heel
love,
turn
love
you've
that
ever
character
seen.
design.
Yeah.
Well, Leah Clark's a dear friend, so, you know, why
Yeah.
not? That's hard to pick. We know each other as actors. It's hard to pick a character. Oh, my goodness. Who would you choose? Because? But hasn't he already been done? I mean,
You just get him
didn't I
crying.
already, like...
Just get him to cry, and you win.
Yeah. It's simple.
I love that. Get him to cry.
Good.
All right, we got another question right behind you.
Yeah.
Hi,
Hi. Hello,
Hello.
mysterious figure. Yes.
my name is Rio. Whenever you were in the office or workspace with other voice actors, did you ever sort of act in character and mess around with them during breaks?
You ever act in character when you're around your
Thank
voice
you
actor?
for being
buddies?
an interpreter. I'm sorry. I can't.
He's
Voice
very
actor,
old.
I can't hear.
He's suffering from old.
What was it?
You're fine.
So
Where am I?
In and around Crunchyroll, do we ever find each other like being in character and goofing around as our characters?
Man, they got this covered. I'll leave.
I would say goofing around, yes, but in character, no.
We are a lot of characters, right?
Yeah,
And
we are already all character all the time.
you have to be kind of a goofball to be in this industry, and so yes, it's so much. I was saying earlier, just being in those offices is so much fun, and seeing all your heroes and all your friends and all that. And yeah, it ends up being a goofy party a lot of times, but maybe not in character.
Or not in studio. I mean, I know all my experience is it's very professional in studio. Then you get outside,
Sure.
you know, and then you can cut it up.
Well, and the times you see that happen a lot, though, what you're asking about is at cons like
was
this.
gonna say.
When we do panels, or we'll be next to our coworkers or whatever.
That'll be
you know.
6:05 tonight.
Yeah.
Great question. All right, we got Rowan right here in the front row, and I don't think you realize it. Yeah.
I
Hello.
didn't see her come up. I'm Roan. I'm also from here.
Here. Okay.
Yeah. I was wondering if all of the characters that you voiced were to fight, who would win and why?
Who, of all your characters.
All of the characters. So this goes beyond My Hero
Oh, yeah.
Academia.
Yeah.
This is our character. Like
Yes,
if all
like
of my
personally.
characters
All
that
of
I
your
voiced
characters
were to,
from various different series.
who would win?
I feel like I'm gonna have to say Dr. Giraud because he was the first character. He was my first character death, and I never got any kind of retribution, you know, like from that or satisfaction. So I don't know. I kind of like want to bring him back.
Yeah.
That was my first thought.
Okay.
Is he super strong? Like, would he beat all your?
Clearly not.
Oh,
He was
okay, okay,
destroyed by his own creation.
Okay.
So-
I've got a couple. I mean, so I was just in Dragon Ball Daima. The Tamagamis, I guess canonically, the Tamagamis are stronger than like Perfect Cell. I don't know if you're a Dragon Ball nerd like me, but like, so
mean.
he's a pretty tough dude. He didn't actually lose to like Goku couldn't beat him. They just kind of stopped fighting. So I mean, that's a pretty tough guy. And then I would think like my Admiral Aramaki or Green Bull, Ryokugu, whatever you want to call him, from One Piece. Like we haven't seen his true power, but I think it's going to be like way up there. I think those two might give each other a good brawl. Was that a good answer?
You'd buy tickets to see that fight?
I'd buy tickets to
right.
see that.
All right. Very good. All right. We got a question in the back. Hello.
Hey, thank y'all for coming. Just a quick question. Like a lot of professions nowadays, with technology advancing in AI, does this industry see that as a threat or more kind of welcoming to it, or?
Well, Crunchyroll is owned by Sony. Sony is very interested in AI. So it's unavoidable, really. But I mean, for us, I don't believe that it's come to affect their industry in the way everybody was afraid right at the beginning. You know, it hasn't taken over our voices.
It hasn't yet. Yeah, a lot of, if you've heard about the actor strikes that have been happening over the last forever, it feels like. But a lot of them have been centered around that. And a lot of what's happening right now is just, let's make sure that if we're recording, like if we're in Egghead Island, or is that what it's called? Did I say that right?
It's Egghead Island.
Okay. If we're in that, if we're recording as Dr. Robotnik, Vegapunk, let's make sure that then Sony can't take that recording and use it to train an AI model or to train another, or to be in another voice or another episode without my consent. That's what a lot of those like strikes were about. So that's kind of the issue, the concern from actors. I was talking about, I was a filmmaker for a long time and didn't have any money. Like I've talked to a lot of filmmakers that are using AI in really interesting ways to help as a solo production team person to help make their films and help, do the animation and things like that. And so that's interesting. It's interesting as a creative tool, but it's kind of not exciting as a replacement for. You want to use it as a tool, not as a replacement.
It's not yet cost effective.
Sure.
Yeah.
We're still good.
Well, and that's the other thing. That's the other thing too. Is with AI, like you think just kind of pumping, models and stuff with voices and everything like that. I feel like you also lose just like a lot of heart and soul from those characters. And I don't know, maybe show of hands in the audience, if you were to watch a series and you knew that the lead voices were all being done by AI and not by an actor in the traditional sense, would that make you want to still watch that series, or would you be indifferent? I think a lot of people would much prefer, to have the original
that's a good
actor.
one. I see the thumbs down.
So, so that's honestly, that's where I feel like that. Yeah, double thumbs down there. So so really, AI's got no chance.
Well, and the cliche thing that you always hear about acting is reacting, right? So much of the fire, so much of the passion and the things that you love seeing on screen are people reacting to what's going on around them, reacting to each other, all that. And just as a box that AI is in that it can't AI can't react. That is not a possibility for AI. So I think yeah, if you want to have that spark, you got to have real people.
I agree. All right, let's take another question.
That poor man right there, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen his hand.
Yes.
Thank you. First off, I just want to say My Hero has changed my life, so I just want to thank you two for participating in it.
That's amazing.
We are life changers.
And also, I was wondering if you two had any favorite lines as Panda and Mr. Compress.
As Panda and
Mr. Compress.
Mr. Compress.
Yes.
Did you want Panda though from Jujutsu Kaisen?
Yes.
Okay, cool. You go ahead. You do your favorite
line.
Your favorite Panda line. Because I know you know them all.
I'm going to go with me. Dress for the murder you want to commit, not the one you already did.
That is an all-timer. That is great.
Well, it's in my quote book, so I have one of those at my table, so in case you come by.
Panda lines. I really so I'm thinking through the Rolodex of what people always want me to put on pops and stuff. A lot of people are like, I'm merely Panda, no understand human speak, and that kind of thing. A lot of people like the line to Mekamaru where he says, just because you have more problems or more heartache doesn't make you right, doesn't give you the right to be a villain. That's a pretty cool line. Panda does a lot of exposition. So as far as like reciting exact lines, I'm not going to be there. But I love his exposition because it is oftentimes that kind of big brother conversation of like, hey, let's all take a step back and let's think about each other as people when everyone else is trying to fight. I like that kind of stuff.
I like that. All right, we got time for one more question, and we're going to go right up here.
Going back to My Hero Academia, how do y'all feel about season 8 being teased by Crunchyroll?
Say that last part being.
How do y'all feel about My Hero season 8 being teased out by Crunchyroll?
Being teased out by what exactly?
Crunchyroll.
You mean lengthened? You mean being stretched out, or being? What do you mean by the word teased?
By like being put out there, like
promoted.
Promoted, yeah.
Promoted, if you will.
I think she's speaking about something that you and I are not aware of.
Oftentimes, fans know more than actors.
Is there like a behind the scenes thing that you're talking about? Are they being weird with their promotion?
No, I was just saying, how do y'all feel about My Hero being
I'm jealous. I'm jealous because it seems to be a whole season of just Deku and All Might.
Does Mr. Compress wake up in a hospital bed?
I have no clue.
Is season 8 a flashback where we see Crazy Zoo and Shishido's origin story? No. Where they replace me with Rico Fajardo? I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. That's just a name I pulled out of my back pocket.
Well, Rico was one of my former students.
Oh, really?
Just one day, SMU college.
Does that make you feel any certain way?
It does.
Are we answering your question?
I hope so.
I think we tried to skirt it. We actually know very little of those inside things right there. I mean, what we know is what time to show up to studio. And other information, not on our pay grade.
I was talking to some people, and you might have been one of the, because I know you came to my table. I was saying, I know there's information about the next season of Jujutsu Kaisen coming out this Sunday. What that information is, I don't know, because they've just teased that it's coming out. We find out when you find out. So we've been watching the trailers.
I really meant that.
Yeah. We've been watching the trailers just like you, and I think the thing, I mean, the vibe that I'm getting is that this season's just All Might and Deku, and that's good for them.
There's a season.
There's a season.
There you go. What's been the weirdest, like, you know, someone's come up, oh, did you hear about this? And then it's like, what? Like, that's so out of left field with the show that you're like, where in the world did they get this information?
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, it doesn't happen often. At least I take it that people come up and they're just like, oh, did you hear about that? And it's just like so factually off base that you're like. The
funny thing that I'm sensing between us here is there's in Texas, in Crunchyroll, there's a bit of an old school mentality of like, do your work, be in the show and be excited to be in the show and that kind of thing. When we started making Jujutsu Kaisen, it's one of the newest animes, right? But it also became this big TikTok trend. It became this big online presence. Memes were going everywhere. The edits that are on TikTok kind of started with Jujutsu Kaisen, all that sort of stuff. So as actors in the cast, we all had to really familiarize ourselves with what the fans were gonna, knowing the inside jokes and that sort of stuff. And so there's stuff like Chef Sukuna. People will come, the villain in Jujutsu Kaisen is Sukuna, and people will come to cons dressed as a chef with his face paint on. And it's because there was an episode of Jujutsu Kaisen that was released, and his big power is called Malevolent Shrine, but the subtitles in Japanese said Malevolent Kitchen. So people will now come dressed as Chef Sukuna to these shows. And so those sorts of funny, I don't know if I'm answering a question.
No,
what was the question? But like those sorts of things being really...
Funny English, though.
Yeah. And it wasn't us. Like, that was the funny thing is the English cast were like, no, they got it wrong. We, like, called the studio, and we're like...
Kitchen.
When we record these lines, because oftentimes the Japanese will come out first, right? A week or two before we record. And so we called the studio, and we're like, when we go record these lines, we got to fix this, because they mistitled it.
Oh, man. Well, we're going to start to wind things down. Are there any big things you guys have got coming up that are not, hidden by NDAs or anything that you would like to
One
share?
Piece.
Yeah.
Solo leveling. Lord of Mysteries.
Ooh.
Lord, you got to talk into that microphone.
Oh, Lord of Mysteries.
Sounds more full that way.
Season 3 of JJK is coming out soon. Season 3 of Solo Leveling. I know they've both been pushed back because they're giving the animators a lot of time to animate, so we're looking like 2026, 2027 for those. I got a bunch of cool video games coming out that I can't talk about.
NDAs.
Yeah.
But hopefully released soon.
Yeah, hopefully.
They'll let up here
Yeah,
soon.
good stuff. Always working, always trying, climbing the ladder.
Forever.
Well, we appreciate you guys coming and taking a little time and talking to all of us here.
Oh, my gosh.
Give it up for me, guys. Kent Williams
Yeah.
and nephew David Rudd.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, folks, coming up at 3:30, a real treat, commanding the screen, a conversation with Katie Sackhoff. Hope to see you back in here at 3:30.